I'm Josh. This is Colin. And this is Perseverance, our floating off-grid home. Come explore with us as we sail to new places, we learn how to protect our environment, and see how we coexist with nature. We'll also make lots of friends along the way.
Alright, we are on the Heart, just packing up the boat, getting everything that's normally stored outside inside, and then just closing everything up so the boat can be in storage for 2 weeks while the work's being done. And it is a complete disaster in here because a lot of this stuff lives outside.
I feel like we always have an excuse for why it's a complete disaster. I'm trying to water my plants hydroponically before we depart for 2 weeks, so.
I think last step is to get the solar panel inside and turn off the power to the boat. I'm going to empty the fridge so nothing goes bad in there. And then we're going to be meeting up with Gallivant and sailing with them for the next couple weeks. Alright, we are standing just outside Playboy. We are waiting for our lift to take us over to the Harbortown Fuel Dock, where we will meet up with Chris and Nate on Gallivant. And Perseverance is on the Hard. She looks good. You can see her over there. And she was barely even blocked up, and they were already working on her, so they mean business here at Playboy Marine.
Yeah.
No minute to waste, no seconds to waste.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, we're really excited to see how everything comes out. And excited to splash in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be excellent. I'm so excited to have a new fresh bottom.
It feels weird leaving the boat though. This will be the longest we have
yeah.
been away from her actually, because last time we were here we were coming to work every day on her, and now we're just going to be gone the whole time.
Yeah.
So this is the longest we've ever been away from the boat, or will be the longest we've ever been away from
Are
the
you
boat.
happy to not be painting the bottom yourself?
I'm not painting it
I'm
myself.
glad I'm not doing it.
We did it on our first boat, and
it's gonna be a fresh, it's gonna be a fresh barrier coat, right? Barrier coat and...
Yeah, we're doing, since we're raising the paint line, and the boat's a little over 10 years old, we're just taking it down a gel coat and doing an epoxy barrier coat up to the new line, and then fresh bottom paint.
Excellent.
So, yeah. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
This is the Red Windy app, which we really only use for currents. It's really helpful with the Gulf Stream. We plan to stay in the Gulf Stream most of the way to get a boost. After getting picked up, we headed out to the Atlantic Ocean via the Port Everglades Inlet for our first passage longer than 24 hours. Outside of this tiny little storm cell with a little water spout that never fully developed, the weather was really great most of the trip. The Gulf Stream can flow at greater than 2.5 knots, and when your boat only goes 6 to 8 knots, that is a huge boost in speed.
Got some sundog action. Right, at least. Similar to a sundog.
One of the coolest vessels we saw was this submarine about 60 miles offshore. Colin saw some strange lights at night, and he thinks it was probably one of these submarines. We believe these are Atlantic spotted dolphins. They come because they can feel the changes in water tension created by the boat and need to investigate because they're so intelligent. They can find fish who also like the wake created by the bow, and they receive a good push from bigger ships as they plow through the water, allowing them to expend less energy to get where they're going. In front of our boat, they just seem to be playing. Dolphins have been reported near ships since humans took to the sea, and we are so appreciative every time we get to see them up close in such clean and clear water. Dolphins always seem to appear right when you need them. When you've been on a long, grueling sail, it's always a huge boost to morale and makes all of the hard times worth it when they show up. Soon after our friends left, we settled in for the final night of our passage. As soon as we arrived in Fernandina Beach, we spotted a ship we'd seen in Key West doing day charters. Shortly after we arrived, we dropped anchor by the paper mill, and I wouldn't suggest doing this, as in an east wind, you'll get an intense chemical smell from the factory. We decided to move from the anchorage labeled True Sovereign to the anchorage marked Amelia River. This anchorage was a little more secluded, but still very easy to get to shore. The next morning, we departed for Charleston. We had a pretty uneventful 163-mile sail overnight. The passage was made in under 24 hours, and we arrived at the inlet in Charleston around 7 a.m. Chris decided to anchor in Wappoo Creek. It's a super protected anchorage with room for about 3 or 4 boats. There's a boat ramp nearby, or you can pay a small fee to land the dinghy at the Safe Harbor Charleston City Marina, about a 2-mile dinghy ride back towards downtown.
Brad. My shift is done.
Good work.
That was a long shift.
I was hoping you wouldn't have to have another one.
It's okay. It would have been fine.
20-minute
After the
shift.
coffee, I feel better.
Before purchasing Perseverance, Colin and I looked at many other 350s, and one of them was in this safe harbor Charleston City, but strangely it had no name. On the sail up to Charleston, the dish soap went flying and got all over my shoes and would not come off no matter how much water I sprayed on them. We also spotted another 350 while we were dinghying around. A day or two later, we departed Charleston, heading a short 30-mile day up to the Ondaw Creek anchorage. For the rest of the trip up to Carolina Beach, we were going to be taking the ICW, or Intracoastal Waterway. This waterway allows a vessel of the right size to move in the protected waters nearly all the way from Texas to Maine without having to enter the Gulf Stream or the Atlantic Ocean. It sounds great, but isn't always the best choice. There's always other boats, narrow channels, low bridges, and shallow water to worry about in the ICW. The open ocean is much easier for a multi-day passage if the weather is good. The ICW is much harder to navigate than the open ocean at night, so most boats only transit during the day. After only about 6 hours, we arrived in Ondaw Creek. This is a very beautiful and protected anchorage, making for a really nice overnight stop. At 53 miles, this next section would be a full day of motoring, and we'd be arriving in the Enterprise Oxbow anchorage in the Waccamaw River. This would end up being one of our favorite sections of the entire trip.
So here on Gallivant, we're motoring up from Charleston on the ICW, going to Wilmington, and we're approaching a bridge that serves, I think, a wildlife center, and it's always open. It closes on request by car, and apparently when it closes it has some sort of motor. Our friends were explaining it to us, like I think it's like a motor in the water that closes it. But we're gonna drive by or motor past and we'll get a quick shot of it and see if we see anything interesting. I don't see anyone lined up to cross,
I don't think. So we might not say close, but that's alright.
As you've seen already, this river is a beautiful marshy jungle. If you're looking for a little more scenic tour, we suggest taking a right at the ICW marker 53 and heading up the Prince River. We spotted many birds and alligators on the banks of this river. Of course, you can never escape the jet skis. We stopped at the Bucksport Marina to get rid of trash, top off our water and diesel, and to pump out our holding tank, before moving on to the anchorage just ahead. The Enterprise Oxbow anchorage is very peaceful and quiet. You can explore all the little side creeks and rivers near this anchorage. We decided to take the Dink out for a sunset gator spotting tour.
We had a fish almost jump into the boat, and lots of things are moving around us that we can't see. It's pretty cool motoring through here. Awesome. I love the Spanish moss. Yeah.
Spanish moss hanging everywhere.
We saw many of these birds and weren't sure if they were seahawk or something else. Let us know in the comments below what you think.
We get the full Italy experience in, where are we, South Carolina?
South Carolina.
Where are we? I don't know. It's been days. Been days at sea and now we're lost in a swamp.
Now you might be asking yourself, how did we get in here?
Thanks. Listen to that guy.
We saw a few alligator eyes above the surface, but they would always go underwater when we got too close. I think these are frogs, but if you know, please let us know in the comments below. We finally found an alligator that wasn't afraid of us.
That was so badass. That was really so cool.
That was great.
The next day would be another short 30-mile motor, taking us about 6 hours to complete. We'd be anchoring in the Little River Inlet at the anchorage called Bird Island. This was a really cool spot to stop. This anchorage has access to a huge beach and a small hiking trail. There's also a super unique little experience hidden here called the Kindred Spirit Mailbox. Although no one knows the identity of the real Kindred Spirit, visitors have used the mailbox for 30 years to express their hopes and thoughts, and have even stopped the development of the island with their handwritten pleas. If you'd like to learn more about this spot, I'll leave a link in the description below. This area is now a protected nature reserve, available for all to enjoy. Our final day was about 43 miles and took us approximately 8.5 hours to complete. Shortly after arriving in Carolina Beach, Colin and I flew back down to Fort Lauderdale to get some boat work done. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It really helps our channel grow. If you enjoy our content, please consider supporting us on Patreon.